This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, September 26th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Helene picking up intensity with landfall expected in the states later today.
A Category 4.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Donald Trump is describing Ukraine in bleak terms.
Ukraine is gone.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury on criminal charges that are still sealed.
These charges will be entirely false.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Donald Trump's legal team heading back to a New York court. We'll tell you why.
Consumers are about to see interest rates on their savings and money market accounts fall, but those falling rates are also helping an increasing number of homeowners. I'm Peter Schacknow.
A bakery near Philadelphia known for its election cookie poll is being swamped with orders. I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Up to 20-foot storm surge and a likely Category 4 monster hurricane. Parts of the southeast are bracing for impact as Helene is moving toward Florida with increasing winds. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the latest.
Helene expected to be a massive storm when it arrives to the U.S.
Now we're forecasting Helene to be a Category 4. The Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale before it makes landfall.
That expected this evening in Florida's Big Bend area outside Tampa. National Hurricane Center Deputy Director Jamie Rome with potential impacts.
Prolonged power outages. Think about what you need to be safe and secure for several days without power. Significant downed trees, blocked roads, unsafe conditions to be out and about.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says the state's working to bring in more power linemen who will begin their work as soon as the storm passes.
We're over 21,000 now, but those numbers are growing.
Chris Stallings is the director of Georgia's Emergency Management and Homeland Security team and is urging residents to be on alert.
Winds are expected to extend all the way through Georgia up to the Tennessee line and possibly further.
Deputy Director Rome says that most of Florida's west coast is under a storm surge warning today.
All the way around the Big Bend, Apalachicola, over to Mexico Beach. The Big Bend area, 15 to 20 feet. Now, I've been here for 25 years. We don't normally forecast surge values this big, so this is pretty significant.
And tropical storm warnings, which come with the threat of torrential rain and extreme wind, stretch across much of the southeast.
We don't normally issue tropical storm warnings this far inland or for this part of the country, blanketing the entire state of Georgia, the entire state of South Carolina, and western periphery or the mountains of North Carolina with tropical storm winds.
Several counties are under evacuation orders today as the storm tracks southwest of Florida with increasing intensity. I'm Clayton Neville.
The president of Ukraine will be in the White House today, meeting with President Biden and Vice President Harris, and the topics will include even more American military aid. Meantime, Donald Trump is raising more questions about how much he'd be willing to concede in negotiations with Ukraine. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
Donald Trump is describing Ukraine in bleak terms, raising more questions about how much he'd be willing to concede in a negotiation over the country's future.
Ukraine is gone. It's not Ukraine anymore. You can never replace those cities and towns, and you can never replace the dead people, so many dead people.
Trump argues Ukraine should have made concessions to Vladimir Putin before Russia's 2022 invasion.
Any deal, even the worst deal, would have been better than what we have right now. If they made a bad deal, it would have been much better. They would have given up a little bit.
While Trump has long railed against U.S. backing for Ukraine, he's rarely discussed the conflict in such detail as he did during a North Carolina appearance, and as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said to pitch the White House this week on what he calls a victory plan.
Putin has broken so many international norms and rules that he won't stop on his own. Russia can only be forced into peace.
During an event with Zelensky hours later, President Biden sounded the opposite tone.
This war has shown the Ukrainians can do anything they set their minds to. Today, we show the Ukrainians you're not alone. You're not alone in this fight. You're not alone in the reconstruction that comes after. Ukrainian people have fought and died to win a future of freedom and independence. Mr. President, we all stand by your side to help Ukraine make the most of it.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
New York City Mayor indicted. That story when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The latest now on that menacing hurricane in the Gulf. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Hurricane Helene is picking up steam while churning over very warm water in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Through today, a period of rapid intensification is expected to occur, with Helene likely to become a Category 4 hurricane with winds over 130 miles per hour as it approaches Florida. Landfall is currently expected to occur to the southwest of Tallahassee this evening as a major hurricane. Intense downpours will continue around the southeast today, with total rainfall from Helene likely in the 8 to 12-inch range from the Big Bend of Florida through western Georgia, eastern Tennessee, and North Carolina through Friday. However, the mountains of North Carolina may face rainfall of 12 to 18 inches, posing an ongoing risk for extreme flash flooding. The rain bands of Helene also carry the risk of tornadoes from Florida to central and southern Georgia and South Carolina today. Wind gusts of 120 to 140 miles per hour are expected around the landfall point, with areas just to the east potentially in line for gusts approaching 160 miles per hour. Through Friday, gusts to tropical storm force can reach as far north as southern West Virginia, as Helene continues northward after making landfall before taking a turn more to the northwest on Friday. This turn means that rainfall of 4 to 8 inches may eventually spread as far to the west as northeastern Arkansas. For the rest of the nation, the west looks to be dry outside of showers arriving in northwestern Washington. In fact, the plains and Great Lakes can also be dry, with showers from Helene reaching southern Ohio and Indiana. A storm brings showers to the northeast, with steadier rain and even some thunder from southern New Hampshire to southern New England. In Kansas City, expect a nice day with some sunshine and a high of 79. For Atlanta, rain bands from Helene bring potentially life-threatening flooding with a high of 73. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Former police officer and current New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted on federal charges. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports the mayor of America's largest city plans to fight the indictment that comes after numerous investigations of people in his inner circle.
The federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury on criminal charges that are still sealed. The indictment marks a stunning fall for Adams, a Democrat who won his election nearly 3 years ago to become the second black mayor of the nation's largest city. For the last year, Adams has faced growing legal peril with multiple federal investigations into top advisors, producing a drumbeat of subpoenas, searches, and high-level departures.
For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration.
He'd repeatedly said he wasn't aware of any wrongdoing, dismissing speculation that he would face charges. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Also from New York, correspondent Julie Walker reports that Donald Trump's legal team will be heading back to court in their latest attempt to get one of his cases thrown out.
A New York appeals court is set to hear arguments in former President Donald Trump's fight to overturn a civil fraud judgment that could cost him close to $500 million. Arguments are scheduled for noon in the state's intermediate appellate court. Trump is asking the court to nullify a judge's findings that he deceived banks, insurers, and others for years by lying about his wealth on paperwork used to make deals and secure loans. Lawyers for the current Republican nominee for president contend that Judge Arthur Engoron's verdict was egregious and should be reversed. Lawyers for the New York Attorney General, which brought the case, say the verdict was backed by overwhelming evidence. Rulings typically come down in about a month. Julie Walker, New York.
Mortgage refis surge. We'll have that and more in business headlines when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. In for CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with Thursday Business, here's Peter Schack now.
The Fed's long-anticipated half-point rate cut last week did plenty to boost the stock market, but it will also have an impact on the set-it-and-forget-it crowd. During the long period of higher interest rates to combat inflation, consumers flocked to fixed income to capture the best interest rates they'd seen in years. And even as investors anticipated the Fed's rate cut, money market assets have been at record highs this month. So should the average person abandon cash and put it all in stocks? Maybe not, according to Lindsay Rossner, head of multi-sector investing at Goldman Sachs Asset Management.
What has been a big prevalent trade has been the idea of T-bill and chill, which is basically stay in T-bills. They're earning you 5% and change. You don't have to do the hard work. Just stay there. And we've very much been advocating this whole year to extend duration because that gig is going to be up at some point in time, and that time is now. There definitely were more returns if you extended duration earlier, but you haven't missed the window. And we're really telling clients that it's important to think about extending now.
The lower interest rates on savings will put less money in your pocket, but they also give you the chance to take less out of your pocket. CNBC's Diana Olick tells us new figures from the Mortgage Bankers Association are highlighting a surge in mortgage refinancing.
Applications to refinance a home loan surged 20% last week compared with the previous week. Demand was a stunning 175% higher than the same week a year ago. And this is the average rate on the 30-year fix, dropped again to 6.13% from 6.15. That is the 8th straight week of declines, and the FHA rate actually fell just below 6% to 5.99, and that breaks that psychological level for some borrowers.
Stocks came off their interest rate euphoria for a day during the Wednesday session, but the Dow and S&P 500 remain near record highs, and all the major averages are on track to conclude their first positive September since 2019.
Any other trends you see that may potentially save us some money?
Well, one is at the gasoline pump.
That's good.
Crude oil prices are on pace for a third consecutive monthly drop, and average gasoline prices are currently at $3.21 per gallon, with many states reporting an average price below $3. Back in June 2022, the average gasoline price reached a record high of about $5.02 per gallon, according to AAA. Another trend doesn't necessarily save you money, but it does help you keep it in your pocket for a longer period of time. More consumers are expected to utilize buy now, pay later services during the upcoming holiday season. Data firm Adobe Analytics predicts a record $18.5 billion in buy now, pay later spending during the fourth quarter, which would be up more than 11% over a year ago.
Thank you. CNBC's Peter Schack now. Well, with their debate scheduled for next week, results of a new poll are out on the popularity of the vice presidential nominees. We'll have that and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. With their only debate scheduled for next week, a new Associated Press poll finds out which vice presidential nominee is the most popular. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
The Associated Press and the Nork Center for Public Affairs Research surveyed 1,771 registered voters between September 12th and September 16th. And Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, was more popular than Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, the Republican vice presidential nominee. The poll found that negative feelings about Vance were considerably more widespread than positive opinions. About half of registered voters said they have a somewhat unfavorable or or very unfavorable view of Vance, up from about 4 in 10 in late July. 1/4 had a somewhat favorable or very favorable view of him. With Waltz, about 4 in 10 voters surveyed had a positive opinion, and about 3 in 10 had a negative view. Also, Democratic candidates tend to receive more support from women, while Republicans perform better among men. But Waltz is better liked than Vance among both women and men. Donna Warder, Washington.
A Pennsylvania bakery believes a cookie can tell who will win the 2024 presidential election. Ed Donahue explains.
People at Lochel's Bakery are buying 4-inch round sugar cookies. One has blue and white sprinkles with a Harris 2024 label on it. The other has red and white sprinkles with a Trump 2024 label on it. Kathy Lochel says they started this poll in 2008.
This is just like a fun, non-stressful tally that we're taking. It's definitely not scientific. It's just a delicious way, I say, to take the pressure off what is going on with the election.
People are driving from miles away to buy the cookies, and shipment orders are coming in from as far away as Alaska. Hochul says reaction to the cookies online has been ugly at times.
But here in our store, it has been nothing but positive.
So far, Donald Trump's cookies have sold more. He mentioned the poll on social media. But as Kathy Lochel points out, it's just a cookie. I'm Ed Donahue.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles. America in the Morning for Thursday, September 26th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Helene, which is expected to make landfall in Florida's Big Bend area, is different besides the intensity. I'm Julie Walker.
Congress avoids a government shutdown for now. I'm John Stolness in Washington.
The U.S. responding to the idea of a ground incursion by Israel into Lebanon. I'm Clayton Neville.
How do you feel about the economy and how you're doing? I'm Rita Foley.
U.S. intelligence officials say they briefed the Trump campaign on Iranian threats. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
How do you feel about the economy and how you're doing? I'm Rita Foley.
Anna Delvey had a surprising response for being released from Dancing with the Stars. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning with the latest now on unwelcomed Helene. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Hurricane Helene continues to spin over the eastern Gulf of Mexico this morning while picking up strength over exceptionally warm Gulf waters, and the storm is still expected to undergo rapid intensification today, becoming a powerful Category 4 hurricane during the day while heading toward the north-northeast. On this track, the storm is expected to make landfall Thursday evening to the southwest of Tallahassee, Florida, as a major hurricane. Through Thursday night, Helene is expected to bring what would be devastating storm surge of 15 to 20 feet near and to the east of the landfall point, including the Big Bend of Florida, with a widespread 3 to 6 feet of storm surge from the Panama City area south and east across much of the Gulf side of the Florida Peninsula. In terms of storm total rainfall, a wide swath of 8 to 12 inches of rain is expected from areas near the Big Bend of Florida northward into the Tennessee-North Carolina border region. However, the highest rainfall totals from Helene are actually expected to occur in the high ground of western North Carolina, where 12 to 18 inches of rain may be widespread. Showers can reach the Tennessee and Ohio valleys as well by late this afternoon. Wind gusts can approach 140 to perhaps 160 miles per hour for a time, very near and to the east of the landfall point, with gusts of 60 to 80 miles per hour extending into western North Carolina Thursday night, meaning an elevated power outage risk there. Heavy rain bands bring a tornado risk from the Big Bend of Florida through the Florida Peninsula today and northward into southern Virginia by Friday. Elsewhere in the nation, a cold front pushing toward the east coast brings showers along the eastern seaboard with some steadier rain and thunder for central and southern New England. Outside of some showers in northwestern Washington, most of the rest of the nation looks dry today. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Mandatory evacuations continue as Hurricane Helene is rapidly strengthening into what's expected to be a catastrophic Category 4 storm with massive storm surge, flooding, and severe rains. Correspondent Julie Walker reports residents are heeding warnings and preparing for the worst.
Really, I am more or less focused on really deciding on what is important for the rest, to have for the rest of my life. I mean, really, that's what I'm focused on.
I hope when we come back, our house is still the same as it was, as we left it. But not really nervous, just being cautious of what's going on around us.
It's supposed to be moving fast, so I'm worried about the winds. We're in the water. We got 3 big trees over the house. One of them's 500 years old. So we're going to be leaving town.
The National Hurricane Center says Helene, which is expected to make landfall in Florida's Big Bend area Thursday, is different besides the intensity.
At least a Category 3 or higher.
Hurricane Warning Coordinator Robbie Berg says it's the size and the storm surge, about 10 to 15 feet above ground.
The bigger concern, however, is not just the wind speeds, but the size of the storm. And because of that, we're expecting a large area to be affected by pretty devastating storm surge. In fact, in some parts of the Big Bend area, we can see storm surge as high as 10 to 15 feet above ground level. That's obviously not a place you want to stay if you live in that area, because that will submerge most homes, residences in that area.
Evacuations are underway. Tallahassee resident Chris Osmar picking up sandbags, then packing up and leaving.
I've only been here since 2010, so enough to have seen a few. I got a bad feeling about this one.
And Berg says there's a significant rainfall risk for southern Appalachian mountains where flash floods and landslides are possible.
It does look like there's a very significant rainfall risk for parts of the southern Appalachian mountains. And because of the mountainous terrain, we could see areas of flash flooding and landslides. So this storm is not just about where the landfall point is. It's about all the impacts it'll bring across Florida and across much of the southeastern United States.
I'm Julie Walker.
With a deadline to avoid a government shutdown coming at midnight Monday, Congress passed a 3-month spending bill that will keep the doors open through the election. John Stolnis has that story from Washington.
House Speaker Mike Johnson needing 209 Democrats to join 132 Republicans in passing the stopgap continuing resolution, as 82 members of his own party voted no. After the vote, the Speaker says passing this legislation was the responsible thing to do.
While continuing resolutions are never ideal, none of us like them, it's not a way to run a railroad, it allows Congress to continue serving the American people through the election. This is not the House's fault, it's the Senate's fault. They passed not a single appropriations bill.
However, Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries noted this isn't the first time a Republican House Speaker had to suspend the rules and rely on Democrats to pass a major spending bill.
House Democrats have repeatedly governed in the minority as if we were in the majority in order to meet the needs of the American people. That is the story of the 118th Congress.
A few hours later, the Senate also passed the CR 78-18. It keeps spending levels at their current levels for the next 3 months and also provides additional funding for the U.S. Secret Service.
As part of this effort, we are providing Donald Trump with the protection that he needs in the face of dangerous threats of would-be assassins and terrorist regimes like Iran. That is a new spending amount in the CR, $231 million. It will be dedicated to the protection of presidential candidates.
Lawmakers earmarking more money for protective services in the wake of 2 assassination attempts against former President Trump. Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer acknowledges passing the bill was a bipartisan effort.
In fact, I hope this positive outcome of bipartisanship can set the tone for more constructive bipartisan work when we return in the fall.
Keeping the government open was the last item on Congress's list before heading out for an extended break through the November election. John Stolnis, Washington.
The United States and France are working to try and cobble together a 21-day ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, with concerns that escalation is imminent after the terrorist group fired a missile toward Tel Aviv, leading to growing speculation around a ground invasion by Israel into Lebanon. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the latest.
Sirens sounding as the Hezbollah missiles intercepted near Tel Aviv. It's the closest rocket fired to that city since the October 7th attacks by Hamas on Israel. Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militant group, claims to have targeted Israel's intelligence service headquarters. This as Israel's army chief says that their military is preparing for a possible ground incursion into Lebanon. The U.S. responding to that idea, Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh.
So in terms of a ground incursion or ground invasion, that's really for the Israelis to speak to. We certainly don't want to see any action taken that could lead to further escalation in the region. We still believe that there is time and space for diplomacy. We want to see a diplomatic resolution and a solution to prevent an all-out war. But in terms of, the Israeli operations, I'd have to refer you to them to speak to that.
She says there's continued conversation between Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Israel.
I think you can expect them to continue to engage. Just because they haven't spoken every day doesn't mean that, our teams haven't been in communication. Again, he engages with Minister Golan on a pretty regular basis.
President Biden, meanwhile, insisting there has to be a two-state solution.
It needs to happen. There's a way to do it.
Those comments on ABC's The View.
An all-out war is possible, but I think there's also the opportunity, or still in play, to have a settlement that could fundamentally change the whole region.
The fighting escalating daily between Israel and Lebanon. Thousands in Lebanon have left their homes, and Israeli forces now vowing to ramp up their offensive. Several Hezbollah leaders recently have been reported dead. I'm Clayton Neville.
U.S. Mideast foe takes aim at Donald Trump when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. Chaos inside a Central California courthouse after a man detonated an explosive device, leaving 5 people hurt. Pamela Furr reports rapid action by police led to a quick arrest.
Police say a man is in custody after he set off an improvised explosive device in the lobby of the Santa Maria courthouse, injuring 5 people. Santa Barbara County Undersheriff Craig Bonner says the suspect is 20-year-old Nathaniel McGuire.
McGuire was alone when he was apprehended and was wearing body armor underneath his jacket.
Bonner says the man was due to be arraigned on a gun charge that morning.
The initial report included that a single individual entered the facility and threw a bag at the screening station. That bag exploded.
The motivation appears to have stemmed from the recent arrest by the sheriff's office on the firearms violations McGuire was about to be arraigned for.
Our detectives are also working with Santa Barbara County Fire to explore if the suspect is associated with several recent additional arson fires.
5 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries from the explosion. None of those injured were court employees or sheriff's deputies. The man is being held now without bail. I'm Pamela Furr.
To another courtroom, a Kentucky sheriff displayed no emotion as he appeared in court arrested in the fatal shooting of a judge inside the Letcher County Courthouse. Sheriff Sean Steins pleaded not guilty to murder and answered questions about his personal finances as a judge pondered whether he needed a public defender to represent him. The preliminary investigation by the Kentucky State Police indicates Stein shot Mullins multiple times on September 19th following an argument within the courthouse. Stein surrendered without incident and now faces first-degree murder charges. Police have not offered any details about a possible motive. America in the Morning continues. With concerns over the security of Donald Trump, the former president has announced he was briefed about a possible threat coming from a Mideast adversary. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
U.S. intelligence officials say they briefed the Trump campaign on Iranian threats against the GOP presidential nominee. The officials won't say if there's evidence of a new plot targeting Donald Trump or if the briefing focused on previously known issues. The Secret Service had already boosted his protection in July after news of an Iranian threat. Trump has faced 2 apparent assassination attempts, and while there's no evidence connecting them to Tehran,
they may or may not involve, but possibly do, Iran.
But Trump says Iran should be on notice.
You do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens, as we say.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A Secret Service agent assigned to Vice President Kamala Harris' security detail has been placed on administrative leave following allegations of a groping incident involving a Harris staffer. NBC News reports the incident happened in Wisconsin, and the unnamed agent was reported to be intoxicated when the alleged incident took place. The Secret Service is now investigating the misconduct allegation. Facebook's Meta holds their annual Connect conference, where they announce what's new and notable. This year, AI chat with a celebrity is all the rage. Here's Chuck Palm with today's tech report.
Facebook parent Meta Corporation has their annual Connect event with some big announcements and some new product upgrades. CEO Mark Zuckerberg introduced the brand new Orion augmented reality glasses, which they claim will be the most advanced AR glasses in the world and weigh less than 100 grams, or 3.5 ounces. The much anticipated Quest 3X mixed reality headset, with a price range of $299 to $399, is set to hit the shelves this October. Meta's AI is also getting some upgrades, including a new text-to-graphics prompt and voice chat capabilities where you get to pick a celebrity that you want to chat with. There are only about 5 to choose from at the moment: Dame Judi Dench, John Cena, and Awkwafina, with more celebrities lending their voices later. And finally, Meta is updating the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses with AI tools that include the ability to scan QR codes, read phone numbers, and translate foreign text into English. But that feature's due out later this year. Add me on X at Chuck Palm.
Robert Workman is in with sports on America in the Morning.
Baseball, 4 of the 6 playoff teams in each league have been determined, and 4 of the 6 division winners have been crowned. Now there's a chance it may take an extra day to sort it all out. In the American League, Cleveland and Houston have won their divisions. Guardians beat the Reds last night to assure themselves a first-round bye. Mariners kicked some Astros, so Houston will host a wild card series next week, and Seattle remains in the hunt. Orioles jumped ahead early and held off the Yankees. Both are into October. One will win the East. The other will be the top wild card. Kansas City and Detroit are tied for the other 2 wildcard slots. Both won last night. Royals blanked the Nationals on a 5-man 2-hitter. Tigers deflected the Rays. Twins got 5 in the 7th to land the Marlins. They're still alive, 2 games back with 4 to play. National League, the Phillies clipped the Cubs, so the East champions clinch a first-round bye in the NL playoffs. Outfielder Brandon Marsh.
Clinching the first-round bye was the next thing, and we did that tonight. So this is what we showed up for this year. This is why we played all year for moments like this.
The Pirates edged the Central winning Brewers. Dodgers nipped the Padres on Shohei Ohtani's RBI single. LA's magic number to win the West is 2. San Diego is 2 away from clinching at least the top wild card. Diamondbacks got back on track with a win over the Giants. And this is where it gets tricky. The Braves and Mets were postponed yesterday and today because of the impending storm down south. They're now scheduled to play a doubleheader Monday in Atlanta. At the moment, New York is percentage points ahead of Arizona, with the Braves a game back. Only 2 out of the 3 can make the playoffs. The wild card round begins Tuesday regardless. NFL Week 4 opens tonight with the Cowboys at the Giants. Week 5 of college football kicks off with Army at Temple. That's Thursday Sports.
There's sports. Listeria outbreak claims another life. And just how do Americans feel about the economy? A new report. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Another fatality has been tied to the deli meat listeria outbreak that originated in a facility in Virginia that's now been shut down. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
Federal health officials say a 10th person has died in the listeria outbreak that shut down a Boar's Head deli meat plant. The CDC says at least 59 people in 19 states have gotten sick due to the bacteria first detected in a plant in Virginia. The latest fatality was reported in New York. Boar's Head faces multiple lawsuits related to the deaths and the illnesses. I'm Shelley Adler.
A new report finds how Americans feel about the economy and the job market. Correspondent Rita Foley has more.
Well, we're feeling less confident and concerns about jobs are rising. That's according to a new survey from the Conference Board, a business research group. Its consumer confidence index fell in September from August to 98.7 from 105.6. That is the biggest month-to-month decline since August of 2021. The Consumer Confidence Index measures not only Americans' assessment of the current economy, but also their outlook for the next 6 months. The labor market has been loosening lately, with jobs numbers steadily declining recently. I'm Rita Foley.
She was one of the most controversial contestants on the hit TV show Dancing with the Stars, leaving the show in a very controversial way. Kevin Carr has that story.
You think you know me, but you don't.
Convicted felon Anna Delvey raised eyebrows when she was cast on Dancing with the Stars, getting special permission to leave house arrest. The faux socialite was convicted in 2019 of multiple charges of theft and grand larceny, leading her to wear a bedazzled ankle monitor on the show. After performing the quick step on Tuesday's episode, Delvey faced a double elimination round against Tori Spelling and Reginald VelJohnson.
The final couple who is safe is
Reginald and Emma!
Which means Tori and Pasha and Anna and Ezra are going home.
When asked by host Juliana Huff what she thought of her experience, Delvey's response was unexpected.
What are you going to take away from this competition?
Nothing.
This was a stark contrast to Spelling's reaction of being cut loose so early in the season.
How incredible was this journey for you?
Unbelievable.
There was an immediate fan backlash against Delvey online, with viewers calling the response ungrateful, disrespectful, embarrassing, and classless. Delvey's dancing partner, Ezra Sosa, had kinder words for her when he spoke with Extra backstage.
I knew she was going to say something very iconic and something very Anna Delvey with her exit. Of course, she has to.
Delvey returned to her New York City apartment after her departure, but at least she got a couple weeks out and about. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Thursday, September 26th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.